Hi there, and welcome to my advanced guide for Stellaris 3.0. The main focus of this episode is my first tradition pick. A full list of chapters are in the description. I hope you enjoy the episode. Just before we jump in, I'd like to say a big thank you to all of you for your support. It has been fantastic to get such great feedback and great warmth from all of you out there. We made it to 1,000 subscribers, and I'd like to shout out to Neil Sheeran, who was subscriber number 1,000. But anyway, that was yesterday on May the 4th. I guess you could say that the 4th is with us.
The Force will be with you, always.
Welcome back to the Orthethi Planetary Assembly. The year is 2201. We are only a few days away from completing our first colony ship, which we'll then be sending over here to the Unaria system to colonize our first planet, this Savannah world. In addition, we've already got our construction ship there, and a science ship is surveying that system. So let's get going. So our colony ship has been completed. Now the first thing I'm going to do with it is I'm actually going to queue it up to begin moving toward the planet that I want to colonize, because I want it to get there as soon as possible. At the moment it's going to take 150 days before it arrives at this planet. So if I don't send it off now preemptively before I've even taken the system, it will just add time, it'll waste time that I could be using to develop the colony and get pops growing, because I want to have these colonies up as soon as possible. And now we've saved enough unity for our first tradition pick. So let's dive into traditions and have a think about what we'd like to take first. Now, the important things to note are, when we pick one of these tradition categories that we are going to adopt, we want to complete all of the different tradition parts before we move on to a second category, because the cost of adopting new traditions is based on the total number of traditions previously adopted, as well as the number of different categories unlocked. So if we were to spend our first 7 picks unlocking each of the categories, well, not only would that be a waste in terms of completing a tradition and unlocking an ascension perk, which I'll get back to later, but it would also increase the total cost of each future tradition. So that's definitely not something we want to do. In addition, when you complete a tradition, you've got a special finisher effect, which is quite a powerful bonus you'll get with each of these traditions. For instance, with Discovery, when you adopt that, you're going to get a plus 10% bonus to research speed, which is really good. The first tradition I'm going to be picking is definitely going to be expansion. Now, the reasons for that, and there are a couple of them, the first being that it's going to, as a base, increase my colony development speed. If I pick this tradition now first, this will have an impact on every single colony I ever put out there, and it'll mean that I can get my colonies up quicker. In addition, when they are completed, when I finish developing a colony, I'm going to start with 1 extra population. So that's going to reduce the amount of time it's going to take to get to 10 population and to upgrade the planetary capital to the planetary administration, which is something that I really need to and want to be doing. So by taking expansion first, I'm going to be increasing the speed that I get my colonies up and going, and basically increasing my economy fastest. Now, the reason we want to do that is that this game, it's very important to get ahead in small increments early on. If you're slightly ahead now, at the beginning of the game, by 50 years into the game, that will develop into quite a sizable lead because of just the way that the game plays. So we are going to want to get ahead as fast as possible, and expansion is going to allow us to do that. In addition, it's also going to unlock an additional district on all of our planets, which will help us with our planetary capacity. It's going to give us an extra 4 planetary capacity across the board. Now that's going to be really good and useful. Some of them on this left-hand side, they're not really so useful. The Starbase upkeep at this point is not going to be great, and the Empire Sprawl's not going to be great either. The reason for that is that it doesn't really matter that I'm massively over my Empire Sprawl. I'm on 0.7 at the moment, which is nothing, but when I get to 60 Empire Sprawl, my administrative cap can still be at 30, and the negative modifiers I'm going to get will be very small. So I don't really need to worry about this at this stage in the game. The Starbase influence cost, though, that's definitely going to be good. So I'm going to take expansion first. Now, which other traditions could I think about taking? Which ones are also could be useful as a first pick? So Discovery is a tradition which is very powerful early on in the game because some of the main bonuses are bonuses to your survey speed. Now, in the mid to late game, you won't be surveying any planets pretty much. I mean, maybe if you open up the L cluster, you could be doing a bit of surveying there, but you're not trying to rush to survey. So the bonuses from Discovery are really the most powerful at the start of the game. The other bonuses in there, the researcher pop upkeep reduction isn't such an important bonus. It's only 20% of consumer goods for us. For other civilizations, that can be quite good. For instance, for a machine empire, that's going to be quite good because that's a 20% reduction in energy upkeep. But yeah, for us, it's not fantastic. The other bonuses, the main one that's good here is the research subsidies edict is really good, as well as the finisher, which is a plus 10% to our research speed. So this discovery is really quite good. But if I take technological ascendancy as my first ascension perk, which you'll unlock when you complete one of these tradition trees in full, if I take that as my first ascension perk, I'll be getting both the whole expansion tree and the best effect from research, the plus 10%. So really, I think that overall expansion is going to be a better pick. Other picks which can be quite useful if you've already taken one of the origins which unlocks diplomacy, unlocks the first rung in diplomacy of our Federation, you're going to want to complete that first as well. Simply because by completing expansion, you're really going to be at a bit of a disadvantage because you're going to have an increase to the tradition cost. You see here, adopting a tradition category is going to cost me an extra 5%. So if I were to adopt expansion first here as somebody who took the common ground origin, that really wouldn't be good. I'd want to fill out diplomacy, probably going for the open markets first for the trade value, and then the insider trading, followed by the secure shipping or the entente coordination, neither of which would really matter that much. But that's actually going to give you access to an early ascension perk. So because you only have 4 tradition unlocks to complete, so that's actually quite good, even though you're not getting the bonuses of expansion, which is, I would say, the best to unlock first. Now, Supremacy, that's definitely a good policy to unlock, but you really need to have a good economic base before you do so. So I'd say Supremacy is definitely a secondary pick choice, because that's going to give us lots of bonuses to not only to our fleet power, but also in our ability to construct ships, construct fleets, and make sure our fleets are large and powerful. Prosperity is also a really good second pick. That's going to give us a 20% increase to our mining station output, which about 10-15 years into the game, which is where we should be when we're taking our second tradition, that's going to be quite a good stabilizing effect on our economy. It's going to help with our economic growth. In addition, 1 extra housing for our city districts, which didn't used to be quite powerful, that's actually now really powerful. On our homeworld, right now, that would add, because we have 3 city districts, that would add 3 capacity to our homeworld straight off the bat. We probably will have more city districts by the time we take that though, so that's going to be good at increasing our planetary capacity, which will be increasing our growth. Also, the 5% to specialist output, that's going to be helpful for getting tech and alloys and consumer good production up, so that's quite a good one. Domination, that's also got a good bonus to your capital buildings providing additional housing, as well as your housing buildings providing additional housing. So that's Domination's no longer completely, it's not useless. Also, clear blocker cost reduction of 33%. That's pretty good too. So if you're taking an empire which possibly is authoritarian, you might want to go with this one, go down the first imperialist architecture, then go down to this workplace motivators, because that's going to give you some good bonuses. But overall, Domination's still not really up there. And then finally, we're left with Harmony. Now, for biological empires, Harmony tends to be the worst of the worst. Yeah, reduction in food upkeep, well, food's really easy to make, that's not really so great. Finisher reduces empire sprawl from pops, that's a bit of a joke. We don't really care about our empire sprawl from pops, we can offset that with a few consumer goods and a few jobs. Leader lifespan increase, well, we can use ascension perks to kind of deal with that, or traits or technologies, so yeah, not so great. Governing ethics attraction, kind of crap. The 2 good ones here are Bulwark of Harmony, or Bulwark, I can't remember how to pronounce that. Bulwark of Harmony, which is going to give you good fire rate and ship build speed in defensive wars. Now that's definitely really quite good. And Utopian Dream, 5% stability. That's going to give you a 3% increase to resource output across the board. You can't sniff at Utopian Dream. But overall, Harmony's really kind of, I tend to save this one till last as a tradition to take. In some playthroughs, I don't even take it. So we're going to be taking expansion first, and then depending on what we see around us, we'll either be going for prosperity, discovery, or supremacy. With possibly our third picks looking at diplomacy or supremacy. Probably some that's roughly going to be the order we might go in. But for now, we're going to complete expansion. Now I've also got 300 energy. I'm going to be clearing tile blockers on my capital. So the tile blocker that I'm going to be clearing first is going to be the sprawling slums. That's going to give me an extra population, which is great. Following that, as soon as I get to 300 energy, I'll be clearing the other tile blockers. So as I mentioned before, I'm going to be alternating between clearing tile blockers and building buildings. I'm going to build probably another research lab next, and then I'm probably going to replace the commercial zone with either the consumer goods building or an alloy building. And at that point, I'll have run out of building slots, and I'm then going to start building city districts on my capital, because I really don't want to have my planet capacity come down, because that's going to have a negative impact on my growth. And we've also surveyed Unaria, so at this point now I'm going to build my outpost, and I'm going to have my colony ship land on this planet as soon as I've got the system. And following that, we're going to have to look at our next expansion goal. So we've taken all of the local planets that are both easy to take. Of course, we haven't taken this system yet because it's full of unknown aliens, cough, crystalline entities, cough. And but we have taken this system with a planet. Now we need to find our other habitable planet. So we know that the planet is going to be within 2 jumps of the capital. So at the moment, because I've got quite a split here, I've got this system here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 systems over there I need to survey, as well as 1, 2, 3 systems over here I need to look in for my additional world. I'm going to be building an extra science ship. And the reason I'm going to be building this science ship is I'm going to be sending it off in this direction to be searching for that additional world. To do that, I'm going to be using the explore system. I'm going to be holding down shift to queue up some, and I'm going to queue them up to go to all of the possible worlds that, all the possible systems that this world could be on. And I'm going to want to do that as quick as possible, and I'm going to survey that system straight away, and then try and get a colony ship built for it and get a planet up and going. And we've completed that starbase, so let's throw down our colony onto the planet. I'm just going to give it a random name. Fantastic. And we completed this other science ship. Well, we're going to send it off and getting ready to search for those other worlds. It's important as well to make sure you keep watching your science ship, because you'll lose the information once they leave the system if there were any habitable planets there, because you'll lose the sensor. We're looking for those orange circles similar to this one. We can hover over it and see what planet type we have got. Now I am going to recruit a leader. In this case, I'm looking at my leaders here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the cheapest leader possible. And what I'm going to do here is pick either the best leader or the youngest leader. Because, so looking here, I've got ages on my leaders. Now, after a certain amount of time, your leaders start having a chance of dying each month. In this case, I've just got an average empire, so the base age is 80. After 80, the percentage death chance will go up and up and up until eventually they just die. They're not going to live forever. First of all, I'm going to look at the bonuses here. Now, none of these bonuses are particularly jumping out at me. I've already got an expertise industry scientist, which is really good. I don't really care that much about changing that. I've also got a new worlds scientist, so that's a good one too. I'm happy with that. And a spark of genius plus 10%. That's going to give me a 10% bonus on everything. Pretty happy with that. And the reason I'm happy with these other two is that this one is going to give me a boost to the chances of rolling any robotics technologies or technologies on the robotics path, because those are industry technologies. So this is a really important one to have early on for me. And as well, the new worlds expertise is going to let me unlock tile blockers. And tile blockers are really good to get rid of now, because they're going to increase your planetary capacity and your growth. Going back to this leader recruitment, I don't want any of these 3 bonuses. They're not particularly important to me. So what I'm going to do is just pick the youngest leader, because that means I'm going to get an additional 17 years worth of experience gain out of that leader before they bite the dust. So I've got that leader. I'm going to throw him on a science ship immediately, and then queue up the explore system action twice. There we are. And something I haven't really done yet because it hasn't been necessary or important is throwing an envoy down in this here first contact. So the way first contact works in 3.0 has changed. So now you use envoys to complete what in essence looks a bit like an archaeology mission. You've got a difficulty, a skill bonus, and an insight. You started off, and every 30 days you complete a phase, and usually you gain insights based on a random roll chance. When you get to when you complete it, when you get a breakthrough, then you move up the chain. Now, you should always, if you have an available envoy, throw them straight into this because there's no need to wait. It's actually going to give you things to do with your envoy. The reason I haven't bothered with this is that I know they're the crystalline entities. I wasn't in a rush. But if you come across this symbol here, the first contact symbol, you should begin the first contact procedure immediately. Sometimes you might not want to remove an envoy from a role it's currently doing, but most of the time you should be happy with that. All right, and we found here in the rim system, we found what we're looking for. So we'll stop that exploration and we'll start trying to explore the systems leading up to rim, as well as exploring rim itself. Now here's our second tradition has become unlocked. We are going to take colonization fever. This means that before Tritonus is finished developing, we have unlocked it and we're going to get 2 pops on Tritonus. And that's really good. That's going to reduce the amount of time it takes to get to 10 pops by some in the region of 2 to 3 years at this stage of the game with the pop growth we have. And now we've actually finished the crystalline study. We finished the first contact with crystalline entities, and we've got a few choices. The best one to go with is the fascinating creatures choice. That's going to give us access to the crystalline study project, and the crystalline study project is going to give us the ability. Because at this point we haven't got the fleet power to actually kill these things, so we don't want to go with that. Because what we want to get is the crystalline hull plating. Now that's a fantastic technology. It only costs some rare resources, the crystal resource, and it allows us to boost the hull points on our ships. It's instead of armor plating or shields, and that's a really good one to go for. So for now we're going to take this one, and now at this point we've got the resources. We're going to begin building a new colony ship. If you've been enjoying this video and other videos on my channel, please consider subscribing. It will help get my videos out to other players like you. So something's happened here on my homeworld that's caused my economy to kind of lose balance a bit. And as you can, what you can see here is that I've got some pops working in clerk jobs rather than the much better technician jobs or farmer jobs. So to deal with that, all I'm going to do is -2 times on the clerks to reduce the total number here to 5/8. That's going to push the workers back into the correct jobs, which is good. That's fine. And that's going to settle my economy back up to some better numbers. And now I'm going to actually replace this commercial zone with an alloy foundry. Because what's that going to do? I'm going to shift 2 extra workers into the metallurgist jobs, which will cost me some of my minerals. I'll go down to about 20, but I should be able to sustain that because I have built an extra space mining outpost. And then furthermore to that, I'm going to get rid of all these clerk jobs basically. I'll probably throw one into a bureaucrat, and the rest I'm going to be trying to push off-world into this Tritonus system. And now looking at my expansion here, I could either attempt to take Rim straight away, but that's going to cost me the same amount of influence as if I took Curus, Beta Aquilae, and then took Rim. So actually I'm not going to be doing that first. I'm going to try to move my way up to there. Now, Curus so far, I've surveyed most of it, and there's basically been nothing there. There might be some deposits, but at this point, I can't see them. I'm not convinced. So what I'm going to probably do is go to Beta Aquilae and take that system first. That's going to cost the same as taking in influence as taking both Curus and Beta Aquilae. And once I've done that, it's only going to cost me 1 gap to take Rim. So what I'm going to do in essence is I'm going to get to Rim as fast as possible for as cheap as possible, whilst also noting the fact that I'm sending a colony ship over that's going to take almost a year to get there, this colony ship that I've developed. We've also landed here on Tritonus. Now, at the moment we've got just 2 people employed here as colonist jobs. Colonist jobs aren't fantastic. We've already got plenty of amenities from the colony, so they're not great, but we're going to try and get our population up as high as possible, as quickly as possible. So I'm going to build a district. Now, between my 2 planets here, I have really I'm only going to be choosing between generator and mining. And the reason for that is my food output at the moment, I'm actually selling 8. I could maintain another 10 pops without having to build even a second agriculture district. So I don't really want the extra food output. I could convert food to energy, but it's more efficient to simply just build energy. Now, on the other hand, miners, well, they're going to be good, but I've only got 3 mining districts available here. I really want to have at least 4 so that I can get to 10 population while specializing in one of these things. So 3's not quite enough. The other planet I've got that I'm going to have, Rim 3, now that, whilst it does have 2 tile blockers, it has the option of 5 mining. So I'm going to be specializing that in mining, with my first here, Tritonus, being specialized in energy. And the reason I'm specializing is the bonuses you get from setting a world to be a specific type are really quite big now. So I'm going to get 25% technician output. Once we get to 5 pops, we're no longer a colony. I'm going to get a big bonus to my technician output on this planet of 25%. So I'm going to try to stick to having only a single thing. Also, the reason I'm building districts here as opposed to my capital is that at this point in the game, planet capacity on this planet, while it's below 10 pops, is going to have no impact on my planet growth, on my growth here. So I can actually comfortably drop down a few of these and reduce my planet capacity and not worry about it until I start getting near to 10 to 15 pops, at which point I'm going to be wanting to look into maximizing planet capacity to start getting maximum pop growth. And here we are, the 3rd tradition has been unlocked. So what I'm going to take here, in fact, is going to be a new life. A new life over this starbase influence cost, because that's going to give me a 10% bonus to pop growth speed. And as I've mentioned before, pop growth speed is one of the most important resources at this point in the game. So here I'm going to be taking this pop growth 10%. If I head back to my capital now, which is 76 planetary capacity, that's now outputting full pop growth, which is really good. Full pop growth, and actually it's off throwing some of that out as emigration, but still getting 4 a month, which is nice. And that's putting this planet here at getting a nice 5.39, which I'm really quite happy with. And now I've researched the technology, the plus 20% bonus to physics, to engineering, and I want to look at which technology to take next. Well, at this point, I really want to roll into the powered exoskeletons technology, because that's a prerequisite to getting the robotics technology. And the reason I want robotics is that I want to be getting pop assembly speed going. So if you notice on your planets, you've got both growing population, assembling population, and declining population. Now, we already know about growing population, that's our biological pops, but this pop assembly can be taken up by either robots being assembled or by a cloning vat building, so getting a biological pop assembly. Now, that can't be unlocked until we've unlocked a couple of traditions and unlocked a couple of ascension perks, because we're going to need to get go down the biological ascendancy path to do that. So at this point, it's kind of optimum to get some robots. Even if I'm going to go down biology, I want to have pop assembly as soon as possible, as fast as possible, to maximize the number of pops I have. So I'm actually going to take the cheapest technology here, because that's going to be allowing me to re-roll, because once I complete this, I'll get a new set of technologies to choose between, to re-roll into another technology. In addition, it's got the industry specialization, so I'm going to get a bonus to my research speed for it. And that's where I'm going to wrap up this episode. If you've enjoyed it, please leave a like. If you have any feedback, please leave a comment. And if you'd like to see more content like this, please subscribe. Thank you for watching.